having a business management degree from the Xavier Institute of Management, of proponent and scholar of the Indian Upanishadic school of thought and the philosophy of darshan in particular. He has delivered several lectures on the same. I now request Maharaj to share his insightful thoughts with us and broaden our knowledge on Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy. Maharaj.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me clearly. And if some of you would like to switch on your cameras, those who are comfortable, you can switch on your cameras if you like. I like the feeling of having a classroom, so I can see the faces of people I'm speaking with. So thank you so much to the faculty and the students for inviting me and having me on this forum. The subject that I thought about speaking about is Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy. Now I have a PowerPoint here. I'll share the screen. Wait. Are you able to see this?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, I'm sharing the screen so you're able to see this. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is do slideshow. Right. So this is the subject that I've chosen for our presentation this today. It's morning here, but it's evening there for you. Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy. Let me see. Right. Now, the idea here is that I'd like to start with some challenges to the idea of ethics. Just to start with, what is ethics? What is morality? One way of understanding this would be that morality is, right and wrong, the way we lead our lives, what we practice in our lives, when we try to be good, when we try to avoid evil. That's morality. Ethics is the study of morality. It's the philosophical thinking about right and wrong. All right. So what I'll do is, before I get into Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy, quickly I'll take up this. This is something I'd found in some book long back. I've forgotten which book. Challenges to our the idea of ethics in our day. So in our modern times, there are various challenges to the traditional idea of ethics. Now remember, when I say challenges to ethics, nobody seriously challenges the idea of ethics. So these challenges which we will see now, all of these are basically new ways of thinking about ethics. These are challenges to our conventional, traditional idea of ethics. So what I'm saying is, for example, this first one, when Nietzsche said that God is dead, he announced the death of God. Now, this is taken as a challenge to ethics because traditionally, a lot of our ideas of ethics, what is right and wrong, is derived from religion. So, if religion is false, there is no God, suppose, then why be good? Some people might ask, those who feel that my sense of right and wrong, good and bad, is derived from my religion. And if suddenly I become atheistic, I become irreligious, in that case, why should I be good? Dostoevsky famously, his response to this idea of the death of God was, if God is dead, everything is permitted. That means who is going to say what is right and wrong, or who is going to punish me if I do wrong things? Notice neither Nietzsche nor Dostoevsky, no, certainly not Dostoevsky, of course, but not Nietzsche, nor any of the others we will discuss just now, None of them challenged the idea of ethics. They might challenge the idea of religion. Somebody might challenge the idea of God. But they would say that we can have a society or a civilization without religion, but ethical. Nobody says that I want to build an unethical civilization or an unethical, nobody wants to say that I want to lead an unethical life or an immoral life. Just that the idea of ethics might be new, might be challenging to the conventional idea of ethics. Anyway, as we go along, we will see. Um, I will talk about these various kinds of quote unquote challenges to the idea of traditional idea of ethics. And then we will go into Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy and see how it contains, if it at all does contain, a response to these various challenges to the idea of ethics in our times. So one challenge is this, the dismissal of religion, dismissal of God. So if God is dead, why should I be good? This might be one response. And here is a funny cartoon. This pastor is proclaiming the death of God. And this more interesting is this young man who is standing here and saying, who is God? So this also shows it, you know, we have come into a society where large numbers of people are actually not particularly interested even in the dismissal of God. The whole idea of religion and God for large numbers of people today, especially in societies like this here in the West, the idea of God and religion itself seems to be irrelevant, more and more irrelevant. So this is one challenge. Then another challenge is that relativism. There is no fixed idea of ethics. When I say this is good, this is bad, somebody might challenge it and say, yes, from which point of view? In some point of view, you are saying this is right and wrong. And from another point of view, it may not be bad. So good and bad are relative. This idea of moral relativity is again another challenge to the traditional idea of ethics, ethical relativism. And I like this cartoon here. So it's Christmas, and which is the time of the year now. And this little kid is saying to Santa Claus, Santa Claus is saying, were you naughty or nice in this year? And the child is saying, I was hoping for a little more moral relativism, this clear category, good and bad. Are you a good boy or a naughty boy? So, so something more in between. It is not this binary. And this cartoon also showing the 10 commandments and the tablet. The first commandment now is saying there's no right and wrong. This is moral relativism or ethical relativism. Another one is putting oneself above everything else. So you might say my religion says or my ideology says this is right and that is wrong. But nowadays we have what is called the hermeneutics of suspicion, which goes back to Nietzsche actually, where we take all pronouncements about good and bad, we immediately question it. So, for example, someone might say that unity is good. It's good to be united. But then someone might challenge it, might say that no, unity is not good because in the name of unity, suppose I belong to an oppressed group and you belong to an oppressive group. You are oppressing me, and then you're telling me to be united with you in the name of unity. We all must be together, but you are whitewashing this oppression in society, and there is some kind of systemic injustice in society, and therefore your idea of unity is actually not good. It is bad. In this way, I'm saying there are many ways of challenging and basically treating every teaching about ethics or every ethical dictum, um, questioning it, interrogating it with suspicion, thinking that there is something behind this. Many of our so-called ethical ideas, they can be challenged on a psychoanalytic basis also, and shown to have there's something else behind our ethics. What seems to be good on the surface, if you investigate, if you do a psychoanalysis, it might seem to be, you might find something else. Another challenge to ethics is what is called evolutionary theory. Um, there is this book, Moral Animal by Robert Wright, which shows that our so-called ideas of ethics are not really from God or from any high ideology. They have evolved, they are there because of our the biological evolution. So, for example, altruism, that we always say it is good to share, it is bad to be selfish. But Richard Dawkins, in his book, The Selfish Gene, he has shown that this so-called altruism, this is also, it has come up from our behavior, which is determined by our genetics. If a community is sharing, is caring for each other, then that community, it is genetically, it's an advantage. That's why we are doing it, not because there is some great ideal behind it or some kind of moral or religious imperative behind it. Anyway, so biology might be a determinant of our ethics, not our ideology. Then determinism, lack of free will. This is another argument that good and bad, I am not free to be good. I want to be good, but because, for example, I may have been abused by my parents in childhood, therefore my behavior is bad. I am, behaving in an irresponsible way. Maybe I've become addicted to drinking or something like that because of my childhood trauma. Now, my childhood trauma or my poverty in my community, this has pushed me towards lawless behavior. So I can show something in the community, something in the family, something in my background, and then say that that is making me do things which are unethical. I am not unethical, or I am not to blame. Another challenge to ethics, which we see always, that it is not practical. That people say you to hold on to morality, to hold on to truth, is very difficult in this day and age when there is so much competition, there is so much attraction of a consumerist lifestyle, so much pressure of um, uh, in society. Because of these reasons, it is not practical if you say that I want to be absolutely truthful, I want to be absolutely non-violent. It is not a practical demand. So this is another challenge. Swami Vivekananda, I remember, he said that society is best in which these ideals become practical. So if a society helps you to practice truth, then that's a better society. Anyway, then one more challenge might be nowadays. So there are many ideologies. You can call, for example, Marxism or feminism, or Foucault's discourse on power, where the idea is that your so-called idea of ethics is actually based on a false consciousness. So a Marxist might say your idea of ethics is coming from religion, which is a construct of the upper class, of the capitalist class, or the richer people, in order to control and dominate other sections of society. And therefore, it is not really ethical. Or Foucault might say that it is power which determines ethics. Underlying ethics, so-called ethics, is not something noble and ideal, but it is power. Or as this cartoon shows, the girls are going to this women's studies 101, and one girl is telling the other that it's so cool. If you use your imagination, you can blame men for everything. It's a cartoon, but basically the idea is your so-called ethics, it might be a construct of patriarchy. It is not really ethical. It is a way that patriarchy has found to control society and control women in particular. Women had no say in the construction of these ethics. So these are different ways of challenging this idea of ethics. Remember, in all of these approaches, there's always an element of truth. They are not wrong. What they are saying is your conventional idea of ethics is not adequate, or not comprehensive enough, not inclusive enough, that we should rethink ethics. Anyway, so with this background, I just put it out, though it's not directly relevant to today's subject, but these are different questions. Once we take a quick look at Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy, those are questions which we can use to interrogate Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy and try to understand it better. and see what, when I go through this, I urge you to keep thinking what could be a response, what would be a response from Swami Vivekananda's perspective to these 7 challenges to conventional ethics. How might Swami Vivekananda's idea of ethics be more acceptable to these new streams of thought, for example? What I'm going to say is based on a wonderful article written by a great monk of our order, a very senior monk. He's the vice president of the Ramakrishna Mutt now, Swami Bhajananandaji. So many years ago, decades ago actually, he wrote this article, Swami Vivekananda's contribution to moral philosophy, ontological ethics. So Swami Bhajananji says, Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy, he calls it ontological ethics. What that means, let's take a quick look before we go on to Swamiji's ideas. So here, let me just say that one can ask that on what is ethics grounded? What is the guiding principle? So ethics is, of course, a very big part of philosophy, and different approaches have been developed to ethics. Basically, the question is, why should I be good? And the answer on what reason can you give for a person to be, say, truthful, for a person to be altruistic or disciplined? One answer is utilitarian. There can be utilitarian ethics. Utilitarian means that it will maximize happiness. Nobody can deny that they want to be happy. One can ask, if you say, be good, tell the truth, be non-violent, be self-controlled, that you can tell a person, and the person can always ask this question: why should I be good? Why should I tell the truth? The answer is from utilitarian ethics, because it will make you happy. If we are ethical, it increases our happiness. Now remember, nobody seriously questions why should I be happy. So that is taken as axiomatic, that we understand everybody is trying to maximize their own happiness and trying to reduce their own misery or sorrow. That is automatic. Nobody questions it. Nobody asks, why should I be happy? If you say tell the truth, the person can ask, why should I tell the truth? But if you say be happy, nobody will ask, why should I be happy? I want to be sad. Nobody wants to be sad, or nobody wants to be in pain. So maximization of happiness, this is utilitarian ethics. And the argument is, the more ethical we are, the more our utility, our pleasure, our happiness will be maximized. Of course, in practical terms, it does not mean individual, often it does not mean individual happiness. Generally, it is applied to the society as a whole. For example, economics operates on this principle. So, public policy, for example, taxation. Taxation, you will notice that we pay taxes at a certain rate. Richer people will pay taxes at a higher rate. They pay more taxes and at a higher rate also. Poorer people will pay lesser taxes and at a lower rate. And below a certain income, there will be no taxes at all. Now, why is this done? If all people are equal, why does somebody have to pay more taxes, somebody has to pay less? Because the idea is it maximizes utility for the society as a whole, happiness for the society as a whole. So this is called utilitarian ethics. Teleological ethics says that not your immediate happiness, but there is some higher purpose. So, for example, if you are good, then religion tells you that you will go to heaven after death. So the higher purpose is there, the heaven after death. Or in the French Revolution, or say, for example, in the Russian Revolution, they developed ideas of a ideal citizen of the revolutionary state in France, or ideal communist citizen, somebody who behaves in a certain way so that the goals of the revolution can be achieved, so that you can achieve a perfect communist state. So some ideal is there, some purpose is there. So if you are good, if you follow ethics, you can attain that higher purpose. This is teleological. Telos means purpose. Another way of looking at ethics, a third approach, is called deontological. It's a fancy word. Deontos means duty. Why should I be good? Because it's your duty, because it's the law. How do I know what is my duty? How do I know what's the law? Well, sometimes religion gives laws. So my religious book may tell me, do these things, tell the truth and so on and so forth as your duty. It is your dharma. It is your religion to do that. Then, or it might not be religion. It might be just be your law of the land, traffic law, for example. Do not cross when the red light is on. So that's a law. It's not because of utility, whether it will make you happy or not happy. No. It's also not because of some ultimate purpose. No. But the rule says so. Traffic rule says so. Whether you are happy or unhappy, you have to follow it. So that is called deontological ethics. The law says so, the rules say so, or my religious book tells me that this is dharma, this is religious, and therefore I have to do it as duty. Ethics, I have to be good because it is my duty to be good. Now, what is ontological ethics? This I'm contrasting with the others. Swami Vivekananda is saying, based on philosophy of Vedanta, that ethics is a manifestation of our real nature. You are the Atman, you are existence, consciousness, bliss. You are not a body, not a mind. You are one with the universe. You are one with your real nature is Brahman. And if that is true, then the correct way to behave, the best manifestation of our spiritual nature will be ethics. So why should I tell the truth? Why should I be good? Why should I share with others? Why should I be disciplined? Because it is the best manifestation of your real nature. See, it is not because it will maximize pleasure, utilitarian argument, or it's not because it will take you somewhere, so it will achieve some higher purpose, or not just because it's your duty, religion is telling you, law is telling you. No, you're being forced. No, it is your nature. If you are not good, if you do not tell the truth, if you are not disciplined, if you are not sharing with others, you are not manifesting your real nature. In fact, you are living against your real nature. Your real nature is the Atman. So that is called ontological. Why ontological? Ontos means being or existence. So what is your being? Are you a physical body? Are you a mind? According to Vedanta, you are more than a body and a mind. You are a limitless consciousness. So that manifestation of your real nature is ethics. So you can contrast it with utilitarian, teleological, deontological. Now, one thing I want to say before I go on, an important qualification. Vedantic ethics, it can be and has been, it can be and it has been presented in a utilitarian way, teleological way, deontological way also. For example, one way of understanding Vedanta is, what is the goal of Vedanta? Paramananda Prapti Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti, the attainment of ultimate bliss and the overcoming of suffering. That is very utilitarian. At least the attitude is utilitarian, attainment of bliss. Or teleological. Why should you be ethical in Vedanta from a Vedantic perspective? One answer we will see later on also is that if we are not ethical, then you will not attain the Vedantic enlightenment. The realization that I am Brahman, it's not possible if one is not ethical. So you can clearly see a kind of telos is there, higher purpose, teleological ethics. Again, deontological also. Vedanta will say, yes, you have to be ethical because the Vedas prescribe this, your Dharma Shastras prescribe this as a duty. But Vivekananda did not use those arguments particularly, but his argument was ethics is the right manifestation, best manifestation of our real nature. So it's ontological, based on our real nature, being or existence, ontos. So what are the distinct characteristics of Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy? So according to Swami Vivekananda, morality is an expression of the innate purity of the Atman. As we were just discussing, that why be moral? Not because it will, or not because of the results. What good is it? Utilitarian. At one point, Swami Vivekananda rhetorically asks, so why should I follow this spirituality? Why should I be spiritual? Why should I try to become enlightened? What is the use of it? Vivekananda says that is a childish question to ask. In those days, electricity was the latest technology. And Swami Vivekananda came here to the West. The electricity was the latest technology. And he says, he gives an example. A child might ask, what use is electricity? Will it give me lollipops? So exactly like that, what use is Vedanta or enlightenment? Vivekananda says, because it is the truth. That is the first answer. One must base one's life on the truth. But then he goes on to say, yes, if you want an utilitarian answer, that also is possible, because this is the one which will give you the highest possible happiness. So anyway, the point here is ethics is a manifestation of our real nature. If you are the Atman, if you are one with Brahman, if you are one with God, then what's the best way of living? The best way of living is a truthful way of living, is a non-violent way of living, is loving and service, and so on. Opposite of ethics. So every philosophy of ethics has to explain why is there evil, why immorality is there in society. And according to Swami Vivekananda, he said evil is born of ignorance of the true nature of the Atman. We do not know who we are, we do not know what we are, and therefore we behave in an immoral way. This is a very crucial point. Remember, here in the West, in America, he was talking to primarily, overwhelmingly Christian audiences in those days. And the Christian answer to this question, why is there evil, is because of sin. We have free will and we misuse this free will and commit sin. We go against the commandments of God, and so we commit sin, and that is the source of evil. And Swami Vivekananda said exactly the opposite. He said, you are not sinners. It is a sin to call you sinners. You are children of immortal bliss. Amritasya putraha, he was quoting from the Upanishads. So in that case, he has to answer, why is there immorality? Why is there so much evil in this world? It is born of ignorance. Solution to ignorance is always knowledge. So Vedanta is a path of knowledge, of investigation, an investigation into ourselves, into who or what we are. Then the implication then becomes ethics is based on freedom, not compulsion. Vivekananda would say freedom is the first condition of growth. We freely manifest our own nature, because ethics is based on our own nature, living according to our own nature, not because we are compelled by some religion or by law, by fear of punishment, not due to compulsion, not even because we are forced to follow some higher goal or purpose later on, but no, right now the ethical way of behaving is the best way of manifesting who or what I am. Then what is morality? How would you define good and bad? So Vivekananda gave some tests. One test was that which is selfish is immoral and that which is unselfish is moral. So one good way of understanding morality, these are not stipulations, not restrictive, but a guideline. So if I want to know if something is right and wrong, right or wrong, I can check. Is it only for myself? Is it only for my advantage? Is it only for my happiness? Or does it take into account, is it for the welfare of others also? Is there a larger purpose beyond this little person? See how it is grounded in Vedanta. Because my real nature is not just this little Sarva Priyananda body mind. My real nature is the Atman or Brahman, which is one reality behind all beings, every living being. So in that case, the activities through this one body mind, if I claim to be enlightened, if I claim to be ethical, then my actions, my behavior, my language, even my thinking should reflect that oneness, that universal oneness. So if I do something only for this body mind, only for this person, a selfish action, selfish speech, selfish thinking, it is immoral. So selflessness, unselfishness will be moral. This is a good test of morality. What is right and wrong? One way to decide it is to check whether it is selfish. Is it for one person, for oneself only, or for a wider cause? Another thing is ethics is unity, expression of oneness, love and sympathy. So this is the basis of all our ethics and morality. This comes from Vedanta. Vedanta says that actually we are not many. We are all one reality. It is the one appearing as the many. Men and women, old and young, whatever race, white or brown or black, um, even humans and animals, all of us are one existence consciousness place. So this is appearing through many bodies and many personalities and many beings. But at the core, at the heart, we are all one reality. So now when that oneness is reflected in our behavior, in our language, in our thinking, that is ethical or that is moral. If so, division is immoral and oneness or unity is moral. This is one implication. Another implication, it comes from this unity or oneness, is equality. So Swami Vivekananda was the great champion of equality. Remember, our society in those days, especially, even now, but our society in India especially is a very hierarchical society, very divided society. You know, the divisions between castes, between the rich and the poor, between men and women. So and there was clear hierarchy, higher and lower, superior and inferior. So it's interesting that Vedanta speaks about oneness and equality, the oneness of all existence, oneness of all life, and the oneness of all human beings. And yet, in practice, if you look at Indian society through the ages, we had tremendous divisions. And Swami Vivekananda said, what is the cause of the downfall of India? He said these two causes. One is the neglect of the women, and the second one is oppression of the masses. So when the masses are oppressed in an unjust social order, now that is immoral. Then what is moral? Equality is moral. That way, our modern society, modern constitution, for example, Indian constitution, which guarantees equality to all in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the constitution, all men and women, people from all religions, from all castes and races, they're all equal before the eyes of the law and before the constitution. That is a spiritual document then. Swami Vivekananda would heartily approve of this modern society, the societal equality which we have got now. Another implication of Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy is service. So service becomes a philosophy of life. What are you doing in life? What is your project in life? It is to be of service to others. Whoever we are, wherever we are, one of the best ways of living life is to be of good to others, of service to others. This, of course, comes from his guru, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who said, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. And Swami Vivekananda made it the philosophy, the moral cornerstone of the Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission. That what is your philosophy? A philosophy is that the Atman or Brahman, the ultimate spiritual reality, is present in all beings. And how do I respond to this God in all beings? It is through service, giving food to the hungry, helping the poor to come out of poverty, giving medicine and treatment to the sick and the ill, giving education to the ignorant, and so on, in all forms. Service through education, service through medicine, service through poverty alleviation, coming to the help of distressed people in famine and earthquakes and all, which is something that the Ramakrishna Mission has been doing for the last 125 years. This, at the core of this is Swami Vivekananda's, one of the pillars of Swami Vivekananda's ethics is service. So it's not just thinking of everybody as equal. It is not just feeling that we are one Atman or Brahman, but it must be manifested in action, in doing something for others. Now, whatever we do, especially in education, you are all teachers or you're all going to be teachers. So this is a great arena for service. This is where you can be of your whole life can be a life of service. If we adopt this philosophy, why am I teaching? I'm teaching because this is my service to God. or this is my service to the spiritual reality all around me, Shiva Gyani Jiva Seva, my service to all the students in the schools where I'm going to teach. So this ethics is manifested in service. The manifestation of ethics, how am I good? It is, I'm good through my service, by doing good to others. Another thing, important aspect of Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy is the message of strength. He said, whatever makes you weak, reject as poison. And whatever makes you strength, adopt that. Strength, physical strength, emotional strength, intellectual strength, moral strength, and above all, spiritual strength. There is a new word these days in positive psychology, it's called resilience. Resilience means how do we react to the problems and struggles in life? Everybody, especially young people today, have a lot of problems, lot of struggles in life. As you get set to start your career, you go through your education, and you are now on the verge of entering your career as teachers. So much struggles, I'm sure in everybody's life, so much struggles will be there. And Vivekananda preached the gospel of strength, this resilience. How do I respond to the challenges before me? Does it evoke energy, enthusiasm, determination that I have faced so many things in my past? Now this also I will be able to handle. So the message of strength, Vivekananda said one test of truth is strength. If it makes you strong, it is likely to be true. If it weakens you, it's likely to be false. Then another aspect of Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy is harmony. So if we are all one, if equality is the implication of this oneness, how will it be manifested in life? Because in life there are differences. The big question is, there are differences. There are men and women, and if you are here in New York, there are now I think 23 genders, legally genders. They are accepted. So many genders are accepted. There are different races. There are human beings and animals, and so much diversity and variation is there. Yes, there may be spiritual oneness, but actually in life there is so much difference. There are actually people who will behave nicely with you. There are many people who will behave badly with you. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with this? Even if there is spiritual oneness in life, practically there is so much difference. So the answer is harmony. Difference does not mean that we have to be in conflict. You may follow your ideology, you may follow your religion, but it does not mean that I have to be in conflict with you. We can all exist in harmony. So unity in variety is the plan of creation. Men and women, and we may vary individually. There is always unity in the background, and therefore there must be harmony in our personal life, in our family life, and in our societal life. So here is, this sounds kind of teleological, that ethics is not an end in itself, it's a means to the realization of God. So this comes from Vedanta. If one is not ethical, one cannot become enlightened. One cannot go on to God realization. The goal of life is God realization or spiritual enlightenment, but that's not possible without ethics. The other side, that if one is spiritually advanced, if one is trying to be spiritual, then the manifestation of that spirituality should be ethics. So ethics has two roles to play in Vedanta. One is, your spirituality is possible only when you're ethical. That's one side. And the other side is, if you are spiritual, then it should be manifested in ethics. It cannot be a private spirituality which has no manifestation externally. If you are spiritual, if you feel that you are one with God, or you feel the divine within yourself, it should be manifest. It should be manifest in our behavior. It should be manifest as truthful behavior. It should be manifest as courage. It should be manifest as selflessness and service. So these are the 10 points which comes to me when I think about Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy. We still have some time. I think we can use it for question answer, but I leave it to the moderator. Thank you
Yes,
so
Mohan.
much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insightful discourse. It was truly enlightening to hear your wonderful words. The floor is now open to the audience for any questions that they may have.
Yes, may I ask one question, please?
Yes.
Yeah,
Namaskar.
Maharaji, namaskar. This is Chiranjeev Chakravarti. Actually, I'm professor over here
Yes.
in School of Life Science and Biotechnology. But I was a student of Ramakrishna Mission. Actually, Ramakrishna Mission in Kamarpukur. I was born and brought up in Kamarpukur itself. Uh,
I
so,
see. Yes, you're
uh,
from the place of Sri Ramakrishna himself.
yeah. Okay. But my question is slightly different from this this today's talk. It is my
Mm.
personal feeling. I want to ask one thing. So, uh, uh, actually, the my question is, Ramakrishna once says, "the তার ইচ্ছাতে একটাও পাতা নড়ে না।" তো তার মানে কি আমাদের কর্মটাও predefined?
Yes, that's a good question. It's basically the question of free will. স্বাধীন ইচ্ছা আমাদের আছে কিনা? How much freedom do we have? So Sri Ramakrishna said, without the will of God, even a single leaf does not move in a tree. So everything happens by the will of God. So the answer to this question is no. As long as we are active in this world, it is best to accept that we have some free will. There is another parable, a story which Ramakrishna himself approved of, the parable of the cow. A cow was tied to a tree. Now it had a certain length of rope. Now, if the cow sits there, the farmer will not do anything. But if the cow starts eating the grass and pulling on the rope, trying to get to some grass, green grass beyond its reach, then the farmer will come and increase the length of the rope, or it may go and tie the cow again in some place where there is more green grass, which means the little bit of freedom which the cow has, if the cow uses it, then more freedom can be given to it, or the circumstances may change. Similarly, we do have a certain amount of freedom of choice, freedom of action, some amount of free will. At least it's good to believe that. Remember, our actions, if you say they are all predestined, that means we will have no freedom at all, no freedom of choice. We normally don't believe that. Our whole society is based on freedom of choice. See, if you, for example, if you go and purchase something in a department store, in a mall, you go and purchase something. The whole mall is organized in such a way, it assumes that you have freedom of choice. So many products are there, and consumers are free to choose and purchase. That's why there is so much advertisement, for example. They're trying to influence your choice, which means they assume, even an advertiser assumes that you have freedom. Or look at election, our choice of the political leader. So there also our free will is assumed, that you can freely choose this candidate or that candidate. Or take the example of law. In a court of law, the judge will punish the offender. Why? Because it is assumed that the person who committed the crime did so freely. Out of free will, he did something illegal, and therefore the person should be punished. If a person is forced to do something illegal, somebody holds a gun to your head and forces you to break a traffic rule, then you cannot be punished because you are forced to do it. Now, reward and punishment, all of them. So medals are given for bravery. Why are medals given for bravery? Because out of your free will, you took some risk for the benefit of others. So that is why bravery is rewarded. So in all these ways, we see that we have free will, and we have to assume that we have free will. Even religion, all this religion which is full of do's and don'ts, tell the truth, don't tell a lie, be selfless, share with others, don't be selfish, be disciplined, don't be dissolute. All these do's and don'ts, they have no meaning unless we have got freedom of choice. It's only when I can freely tell the truth or freely tell a lie, then it is my credit if I tell the truth. So morality also, religion also, it depends on free will. What Sri Ramakrishna is talking about is more of an ultimate truth. As we go along in spiritual life, maybe at a very advanced or higher attainment in spiritual life, we'll begin to see that it is actually, everything is actually God's will.
Yeah, thank you for your answering the question. But my second question is some more typical. Like I'm doing science. Somehow we feel that we are trying to unfold the pattern of the universe. Like when we discover the DNA, we just the scientists unfold the pattern of the universe. Does it like that the universe want that? That's why we want to unfold the pattern where universe or God doesn't want that to unfold the pattern. The human or scientist or researcher cannot unfold that pattern. What do you think about that?
Uh, I don't really know that, but I think it is an amazing thing that we are able to unfold these patterns in the universe. See, we are also part of nature. So the scientist, you and all human beings, we're also part of nature. Our intellect is also a product of nature, and that we are able to understand nature. This is an amazing thing. Since we have that capacity, we should think that that God wants us, or if you say nature, Prakriti, it also wants us to be able to understand the workings of nature. That's what I think. Now, question might be, are there some things which we will not be able to understand? Possibly, possibly. There is a component of the unknown which science is finding it difficult to penetrate in every field of research, in physics, in biology, in mathematics. You come across, as you go deeper and deeper, you do come across mysteries or paradoxes, which it seems difficult to resolve finally. Notice one thing, none of these disciplines is complete. No one can can say in physics, for example, we have solved all the problems, or we have got a thorough understanding of the universe down to its most fundamental particles. As yet, we don't.
Yeah, actually, I trying to understand the Vedanta or the Upanishad, or I'm trying to understand that thing now. When I was very little boy, I found that it was a gospel like the thing. Now I found it was more about the scientific thing. Like all these munis and rishis have already described, which we are describing now previously, but we have to explain little bit nowadays.
Yes, but I think we have some unique knowledge is being produced by science, um, something that was not known earlier. So, the scientific question itself is a very noble and worthwhile quest. There's no doubt about that. But the questions are similar. So, for example, in the Mundaka Upanishad, the student starts by asking the Rishi the question, Kasminno bhagavo vigyate sarvamidam vigyatam bhavati iti. Sir, what is that by knowing which everything can be known? But that's basically a question which the scientist asks. The one underlying principle by knowing which I can understand and explain everything. Um, so what is the relationship between what the rishis found and modern science? I actually asked this question too. There's one physicist here, Brian Greene. He's in Columbia University here. He was launching his new book um, at Harvard University. I was there attending the book launch. And then in the Q&A, I asked Brian Greene, and he has studied Vedanta a little bit. He knows about it because his elder brother is a monk. So I asked him, and he said, yes, what is found in the Upanishads, you cannot call it science, but it is more like a poetic poetic echo or a poetic rendition of what we are doing in cutting edge cosmology today.
But one thing I think that we from birth to death, we are going from A point to B point. Like how we should leave from go to A point to B point. if we read the Raj Yoga of Swami Vivekananda's book, or if we read the other books also, we can found that like uh, is it not like that যে রামকৃষ্ণ যেটা যেটা বলেছিলেন যে বাগানে ঢুকে আমরা সেখানে কতগুলো আম খাবো সেটা না গুনতি করে যদি we can practice and we can you know we can
Yes, that is a good point. Sri Ramakrishna said, when you have come to the mango orchard, Ambagan eshechi, then the goal is to taste the mango and to be fulfilled.
we
Don't
should
spend
not
your time.
analyze that thing. We
No, he
should
never
taste.
said do not analyze. He said
হুম,
don't spend your time in মানে পাতা গোনা and how many branches are there, how many leaves are there. Instead of doing that, first of all, go and get the mango and eat it and be satisfied. He put it in another way that if you have a series of zeros, total as many zeros as you have, still the total value will be zero. But if you put one before the zeros, then all the zeros get value. So basically what he means is one should be very serious about one's spiritual life and find God either in a devotional way or do your investigation in an Advaitic way, the inquiry into who am I, and that is the one. Once you find that, you will have tripti, a fulfillment inside. Otherwise, there is no possibility of fulfillment outside, whether in science or in art or politics or business, whatever you do. I joke sometimes that here in the USA, the last few years, I got a chance to stay in 3 very interesting places. First, I was in Hollywood. There's a movie industry there. So there in Hollywood, the criterion of success is glamour. If you're close to the movie industry, then you are successful. If you are a film star or something like that. Then next, I got a chance to stay here in New York, and here the Wall Street is right here. The criterion of success is money. Are you a millionaire or billionaire? Then you are successful. Then I got a chance to stay for 1 year in Boston at Harvard University. There, the criterion of success is academic success. If you are top of the department, head of the department, if your books are prescribed, if you have got awards, if you are a Nobel Prize winner, then you are the top of the academic chain, you are successful. However, one thing I found was whether it is Hollywood or Wall Street or Harvard University, it is only people who have some kind of spiritual core, that they have spiritual practice, spiritual quest, they have some happiness and peace. Otherwise, by itself, neither glamour nor money nor even learning and intellectuality can make you happy. That is what Sri Ramakrishna says. You put the one first, then you add all zeros. So as a scientist, you are a scientist. Inner spirituality and outwardly your scientific quest, your research, your teaching, learning, all of that will be, it's a beautiful combination. Internal spirituality and also manifested in your life as a scientist. Shall we move on to some other questions? I think we are running out of time.
Sorry, I'm really sorry for the other participant because I take so much time because you are my star. For me, you are my star, Maharajji. So because I in from my school I used to heard your name and other Swamijis also. So I'm sorry, really I apologize for
No,
the
thank you, Chiranjeev Babu.
other
Is it
Sir,
somebody else?
other participant. Okay.
Professor Chakraborty, thank you so much for initiating such a lovely interactive session. Please don't be apologetic. We truly enjoyed it. Now we have another question from Anandita Banerjee. She asks how we can employ spirituality in our day-to-day interactions in the classroom, as we are responsible for building the future of the country through our students.
It's a wonderful question. And the formula there, which Sri Ramakrishna has given, and Swami Vivekananda also, he made it the formula for the entire Ramakrishna order, that Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva. So the spiritual ideal which you are pursuing, God realization, feel that the divine, in whichever religion you pursue, you feel that the divine is in those children. And your teaching is a service. So it's a worship. my teaching in the classroom, my behavior with the students, it is my spiritual practice. I'll tell you something very interesting. This is coming from not from a religious person, from a person very difficult to describe her. She is, I think, in Calcutta, in Bengal. Everybody knows her name, but she is right here in New York. She is Professor Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak. So she is an emeritus professor
Yes,
here
sir.
at.
Yes, sir. I have heard about her. I have read some of her
Yes,
criticism as that I have completed my master's in English. So I know
right, right. So you
some of
know
her
about her
critical work.
very well.
Yes, yes.
She is an emeritus professor
Yes,
here
yes.
at Columbia University.
Yes, yes,
So
sir. Yes.
now once she said that she used to come to this Vedanta Society where I am right now. By the way, this was established by Swami Vivekananda in 1894. So when
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gayatri Di first came to USA, she was a graduate student, and then at that time Swami Pavitranandaji was here in the early 70s. She used to come and talk to Swami Pavitranandaji, and at one point she said to Maharaj that I don't believe in God anymore. Um, and then Pavitranandaji said to her that এখন তোর অধ্যয়নই তোর তপস্যা. Your academics, your teaching, learning, your research, that is your spiritual practice. So it's very interesting. Even for a person who says, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in any kind of religious pursuit, but spirituality is something higher than that, and you can do that in your secular, so-called secular activity also. You can spiritualize. And then Gayatri Di said, from that time onwards till today, whether I am teaching here in Columbia University, whether I'm teaching in Sorbonne in Paris, or বললেন যে পশ্চিমবঙ্গের প্রত্যন্ত গ্রামে যে বালিকা শিক্ষার জন্য working for the education of the girl child, everywhere I feel I am doing spiritual practice. So that is possible even if you don't believe in God, even if you don't believe in any religion. But if you do, then that religion you believe in, the spirit, you can consider your teaching as a spiritual practice. You can consider your teaching as your pujo, as you know, as a worship that you are doing to God. Good question.
Thank you, sir. My
Thank you,
father
sir.
also said this to me. Thank you, sir. It really encouraged me, your answer. Thanks. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move on to further questions, I have a small question for you, sir. It might sound a little unorthodox. I hope you will pardon me and attribute it to the ever questioning nature of our generation. You said that ethics is our innate nature. It is present in us since our conception. But, sir, if that is so, why is a child's first cry attributed to its own selfish needs? It does not cry for the pain of the mother or the anxiety of the father. The child's first cry is to fulfill its own needs. Also,
True.
you mentioned
Uh,
about guidance. Yes.
Yeah, let me answer that. True.
Yes.
Remember what we just saw. Swami Vivekananda said, then what is if ethics is the manifestation of our real nature? Remember, ethics is the manifestation of real nature. Our real nature is the Atman. Now, that may be manifested, it may not be manifested. So, in most cases, not manifested. Your question about the child's first cry being for its own selfish needs, I can say, look around the world. There are so many unethical people, so much unethical and immoral behavior. If our real nature is divine, then why this is so? Because that nature may or may not be manifested. So when the child is born, it is helpless, and its higher capacities, its intellect and all are not developed. So as we develop our higher capacities, we are able to manifest more and more of our innate nature. It is not that the divine nature is not there in the child, but it's not fully manifest yet. So here is the real challenge in life. Our ethical nature is not automatically manifest. It will take effort to manifest it. It will take effort. But as much as we manifest it, so much we are true to our own nature. If we don't manifest it, even so many grown-up people, why only child? So many grown-up people are selfish. And this selfishness creates so much damage to ourselves and to society. So yes, the answer to your question is, it is not automatic. It has to be manifested with effort.
Okay, so the effort comes from society as a whole. the society initiates that manifestation. So, in such a situation, can we not say that ethics is a luxury of the haves, which the have-nots don't have? Like, if ethics is being of service to
Okay,
others,
let me
how
stop
will
you
the
there.
third?
That was another one of the 7 challenges to ethics which I talked about. One of those challenges is that you are asking for something impractical. It's a luxury of the rich people, but not necessarily so. You find so many rich people who are very, very immoral, and you find so many people who are poor, coming from the poorest sections of society, coming from poor villages, even living in jungles. I've heard of, in tribal societies, highly ethical people, highly moral people. So it's not connected with our economic status. If you're economically disadvantaged, poor, it may seem to be more of a struggle. But notice those who don't have the struggle. Right here, I'm living in New York. Right here, there is one row of high skyscrapers. It's called Billionaires Row. Only multimillionaires and billionaires live there. You think they are all highly ethical people? Not at all. Not at all. Many of them are, in fact, very, very unethical people. So, yes, you cannot say that it is connected to economic status in
Your
life,
class.
or class, or gender. It may seem to be so, but that's an excuse. Notice, whatever my gender, whatever my economic class, whatever my position in society, what Vivekananda is telling me is that if I don't make at least the effort to be ethical, I am the first loser. I cannot say that, oh, society is imposing ethics on me. I am poor, or I am disadvantaged, or I am part of an oppressed class. Therefore, I can tell lies, I can steal. It's not a problem. No, it is a problem. It is a problem. I will become unhappy when I do that, and I will create damage for myself and for the environment also, for others also. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now I see Naseem Ashraf Laskar has raised his hand. Do you have any question, Naseem?
Yes, I have a question. Am I audible?
Naseem, are you there?
Yes, I can
Yes,
hear
you
you,
are
Naseem.
audible.
Go ahead.
Sir, what is feminism in your view? If what is feminism? Feminism in your
I am not the right person to answer that. But yes, feminism, there were different waves of feminism, but as far as I understand, the initial attempt was to show that, to fight for the rights of women. You can see in societies across the world, everywhere, except for very few matriarchal societies, most societies were, and they continue to be, patriarchal. And women and men were not treated equally. They did not have equal rights, they did not have equal opportunities. So this was recognized, and especially, thankfully, in our day, we are living in a wonderful age, the last 100, 200 years. This equality of the genders, this has been achieved, or we are at least trying to achieve it, which was not there earlier. Notice, I think it was this historian. You have heard of Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari. He is a wonderful historian. So he is writing that even when Elizabeth was Queen of England, so Queen is a woman, I mean, this is the Queen of England. But notice, under her at that time, all the prime minister and all the ministers were men. All the bureaucrats were men. All the presidents of the chancellors and vice chancellors of the universities were men. In Cambridge and Oxford, all the professors were men, and all the students were men also. All the businessmen. Somebody has to mute, I think. All the businessmen. All the businessmen, they were men. The captains of
Naseem,
the ships,
kindly mute yourself.
the captains were men. Captains of the ships were men. The sailors were men. The craftsmen in the cities, the workers, everywhere, from top to bottom, everyone in society, whichever occupation you saw, they were almost all, overwhelmingly, they were men. The writers and poets and painters, almost all were men. Now, for what reason is this? The idea was that women are confined only to the house, only to cooking and cleaning and rearing children. That is the place of women, and every occupation in life, it should be done by men only, because the job of the man is to work. Now that idea, it was challenged by feminism, that no, we are equal. Everything that a man can do, a woman can also do. And let us try it. And over the last 150 years, we have been trying it. And you see, where is the problem? In fact, society has actually developed greatly because of that. So that is one consequence. Another is the rights. So not only occupation, but rights. Women did not have right to property. Women did not have right to vote. It was all considered man's business. That ownership of property and the participation in political life, all of those rights women had to fight for actually. I remember right here in New York, there is Central Park. In Central Park, when you walk, there are statues of different famous personalities. It's only 2 or 3 years ago that they realized in Central Park, not one statue is there of a woman. Not one statue. So there are statues of women, but they're fictional women, like Mother Goose and something, but not real women. So they put up statues of the suffragettes, those brave women in early 20th century in US who fought for the right of women to vote, giving women the right to vote. When Swami Vivekananda came here to the United States, he went to Boston, he spoke at Harvard University. At that time, there were almost no, there was one or two, there were ladies who were permitted to attend classes. No professor was a woman, and almost none of the students were women. So this was the challenge and the achievement of the feminists. From that day, see, today we have come so far. So that was the achievement of the feminist movement. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the clarification. Okay, now I see a couple of more hands raised. Can we have Sambita's question first?
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Namaste. Good morning.
Thank you so much, first of all, for this wonderful session. We are having a great learning opportunity today. So my question is, as we can see in today's scenario, there is always a clash between personal life and the professional life or the public life. So the hazards, the complications, the frustrations of professional life sometimes affects or influences our personal sphere also. So we can see the discrepancy within the same persona due to maybe the personal or professional obligation. So you talked about the oneness of persona. So how can we maintain that in this challenging scenario or professional life? This is my number one question. And my
Okay,
second.
let me just answer the first one first.
Okay,
That's a really good question. And you'll see, what would Swami Vivekananda's answer be? See, now from these questions, you can see the very interesting implications from Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy. Notice, he said, oneness means harmony. Oneness is there, spiritually speaking, but in life, so much diversity is there. And as you said, so much difference is there. There is personal life and there is your professional life. Now, what is Swami Vivekananda's solution from this problem? His answer is harmony. If it is one life, if you are one being, which you clearly are, and we are all spiritually one, in that case, the difference between personal and professional should be erased. How will you erase it? Not that the personal will become professional or professional will become personal. Rather, in both personal life and in professional life, make it one project. That my worship of God, Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva, is my principle in personal life also, is my principle in professional life also. Let me give you a good example. I have often mentioned this. Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was asked, he writes in his biography actually, who am I? And he says, people ask me who I am, and some people think I am a freedom fighter. Some people say I am a politician. Some people say I am a social reformer. But if you ask me, Mahatma Gandhi says, if you ask me, I will say that I am a simple man in search of God. A simple man in search of God. Now notice, this is a very, very busy person. I was seeing Mahatma Gandhi's complete works. 100 volumes. So in the midst of this extremely busy life, what all he did in his life, but he had one unifying theme, that he's a simple man in search of God. So exactly like that, that is the lesson we have to learn. What is your overall goal in life? It is to be of service to humanity, or it is to find God, or to become enlightened. And that's the goal for everybody, whether we agree or not, whether we understand it or not. The more we understand it, the more our personal and professional life will become integrated. So this is, of course, theoretical. Practically, how you have to do it, you'll have to see. All right. Then, is there a second question? Because we are
Thank
running
you,
out of time.
Maharaj.
Yes.
Okay, my second question
Yes,
is,
sir. Actually, I was. Please continue, Samvita.
okay. So my second question is, as Swami Vivekananda largely advocated the power of youth. So he said that if I can get some young men of heart and energy, I shall revolutionize the whole country. But now in 21st scenario, as he died almost 100 years ago, 121 years ago to be precise. So now, as you can see, the youths are going through a lot of crises, starting from digital addiction, mental health issues, economic uncertainty, social media influence. There is identity crisis, isolation, loneliness, educational pressure, peer pressure, etc. So, sir, how can Swamiji's way of practicing spirituality and religion be the torchbearer for the youth of the 21st century?
Yes. Notice challenges were always there. Now the nature of the challenges has changed. Now you have tremendous competition, the digital addiction, as you said, the peer pressure, which has been mediated, exacerbated by social media and so on and so forth. But earlier generation, go back 25 years, you go back to your parents' generation, grandfather's generation, you will find they had different challenges. They had economic challenges of a different kind. Opportunities were not there. Now, a tremendous range of opportunities are there. Of course, competition is also more. So anyway, the nature of challenge is changing, but challenge has always been there. And to meet this challenge, we need spiritual resources. And what I'm saying here is Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy gives us those spiritual resources. Swamiji, when he passed away at the age of 39 plus, not even 40. He used to say, I will not live to see 40. But as a result, because he passed away so young, he has remained a youth icon for young people throughout. And he will remain like that for the centuries ahead. Government of India has declared Swami Vivekananda's birthday as National Youth Day. So he's like this ideal especially for young people. Now, the spiritual philosophy which says that you are divine, your very nature is the Atman, you have to manifest it in life. Look at it this way, these challenges which are before me, they will help me to manifest my inner divinity. How will I do that? One way, Swami Vivekananda says, is have an overarching goal, a high noble goal in life. Like Mahatma Gandhi says, I am a simple man in search of God. See, simple man, but his goal is so high, in search of God. We can all say that. You find out, Vivekananda says, follow your own highest ideal. That is your goal in life. Once you have this goal in life, then manifest strength. Vivekananda said, all strength is within you. Just as other people have manifested strength in their life and achieved greatness, so can each one of us. Use those challenges as an occasion, not to be defeated or to lose heart, but actually as a challenge to manifest this inner strength. All right, I'll say that much only. I think one more question is there.
Okay,
I'll leave it to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Yes, actually, we are truly enjoying this electrifying energy which is running across our screens. I hope you are enjoying it as much as we are. But I would like you to take one more question from our very own Nawaz Sarif sir. Shall
Yes,
he put
please.
up your question?
Yes, please.
Sir, please go ahead with the question.
Thank you, Urvi, for taking my questions. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us. It is really very enlightening session that we are experiencing this side in the night, I think, and your side like morning. So, sir, at the beginning, actually, I have two questions, and at the beginning, you have stated like Mrs. statement, like God is dead. and we know like Swami Vivekananda believes in God. So actually here I want to know like what is your explanations uh, against this statement like God is dead in perspective of Swami Vivekananda's philosophical thought. This is my one question,
God is
sir.
great. That statement.
No, yeah, God is dead.
God is
Dead.
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 Oh, Nietzsche.
Yeah.
Nietzsche said, yes. So my answer is that that's never possible. Notice one thing, and the reason Nietzsche said, the deeper reasons are there. If you read Nietzsche, you will see. But the general idea was at the end of the 19th century, under the influence of modernism, Enlightenment thought, and so on, the idea was by 18th, 19th century that religion is a fading force. That after some time, religion will disappear. We are a rational, scientific society, and that's it. That is not true. That is not true. That has not happened. The history itself has given the answer to Nietzsche. I remember seeing this cartoon. It's written on the wall in the cartoon, it's written that God is dead, Nietzsche. And below it was written, Nietzsche is dead, signed God. So the answer is that. You look at the history of last 100 years, you will see religion has not disappeared. Both the good and bad aspects of religion are still very much there.
Okay, sir. Actually, that was public reactions like against the Nietzsche philosophy, right? But everybody has their own like way of constructing the ethics. So, my second question that I will be taking underpinning the first questions, like in NEP 2020 also we focus on like constructivism, like we have to construct the knowledge of students that they're coming with family backgrounds or family like culture, ethics, all these things, and they're actually what like Vivekananda, what like is like ethics that is to some extent like instructive, like it's based on some like maybe Vedas or all this doctrine like he believes in. He extracted the like principles from those things that is like a kind of like prescriptive type, like already there. But in like in our like teaching learning environments or social setting, it is said like we have to construct the knowledge of students, and we have to construct the ethical aspect also of students. So in this sense, like being a teacher, how I will go about like helping students to have their good ethical behavior, whether I shall like giving the some kind of guidelines like, yeah, you have to, if you do the behavior like this, or if you act like this, then your behavior will be good, or will be called as a very good girl or good boy or good student. Or I will just let them do let them engage in different activities, let them do mistakes, let them learn from the mistakes, and in that way I will suggest. Which one shall I go for? Like
It's a really good question that today we are talking about constructivism. But imagine more than 100 years back, Vivekananda says that all knowledge is within us and it has to be brought out. And his whole philosophy of education was constructivist. He said that the only role of the teacher is to remove the obstacles in the path of the manifestation of this knowledge. So his whole educational psychology, which Vivekananda talked about, it's a fascinating subject. So Vivekananda's philosophy of education, which was a constructivist philosophy of education. Now we begin to understand. Remember, more than 100 years ago, the old model of education was you are pouring, the teacher is pouring knowledge into the minds of the students. Now we realize that that does not work, and that's not a realistic way of looking at the teaching learning process. Constructivism is a much better way of looking at it. So Vivekananda would thoroughly approve of the constructivist approach. And as far as ethics, constructivist ethics is concerned, it's a very good question. I think what Swami Vivekananda himself did was he kept high ideals in front of the people he trained. That your aim is God realization. Your aim is to be of use to or benefit to society. Look at the goal he put before the Ramakrishna mission. Atmano mokshartham jagat hitaya cha. For your own enlightenment, liberation, and for the welfare of the world. Then he gave certain ways of achieving that. Keep a high goal, practice focus or concentration. So that is an answer to the problem of social media addiction, this constantly distracted mind which we have got all the time, the importance of focus, of concentration. This is what Swami Vivekananda said again and again. Third thing he said was, because we are all living in a divine unity, the Atman or Brahman, this he got it from Vedanta. Therefore, the importance of selflessness. So these are some of the ways in which, now how to do it in a classroom situation, you have to devise certain ways of acting, speaking and thinking which will show the students the benefit of having a goal in life, the benefit of concentration, the benefit of selflessness. Contrast it with aimless living, contrast it with distracted mind, contrast it with utter selfishness. And then you have to show the student how you, as a student, you can be much happier and everybody else around you will be much happier, much more fulfilled if you pursue a high goal, if you are focused, if you are selfless. You may bring in supporting evidence from the religions, the major religions. You can do that, or you need not do that, because it may not appeal to the students anyway. Notice Vivekananda, when he taught this, it was firmly grounded or based on Vedanta, but his interpretation, like a new constructivist approach based on Vedanta. And he did not necessarily keep on referring that Gita says this, Upanishad says this, or Sri Ramakrishna said that. Instead of that, he used those principles to build up this new approach to ethics. I hope I'm making sense. Okay. We have
Thank
to
you
wrap
so
up
much,
now, I think.
sir,
We have
for adding something like in my thought process. Like, thank you so much. But while
Thank
listening
you.
to you, another question just coming in my mind. That is in that sense, like in modern, like 21st century, what we believe, like we have like relative morality. I think morality is something like relative. Like the things which is good for me may not be good for you, and that is like absolute morality. Like things are good means it's good for everyone. So I don't know like what kind of like can we put like Swamiji's like moral like ontological morality into two categories? Maybe like whether he was like promoting the absolute morality or it's a kind of like relative, because
Yes, so
in
interesting
what
question.
I
Now
personally
think
believe
about
is
it
like
yourself. Think about it yourself, like absolute in the sense that the ontology for all of us is the same. We are that same one divinity. That's true. But when you manifest it in your life, your expression of that divine oneness and my expression and other person's expression, that may be different. So there is a truth in relativity, and there is a truth in absolute morality also. So there is something universal, but when it is expressed, it is individual and it may be relative. That is accommodated in Swami Vivekananda's moral philosophy. Okay, thank you so much. We should wrap up now. We have gone
Yes, sir.
beyond time, I think.
Yes, yes, we have gone beyond time, and that is only because of your enchanting words and the wonderful atmosphere and aura that you have created amongst us. On this note, I would like to deliver the final vote of thanks. I would like to thank Professor Dr. Samit Ray, our esteemed Chancellor, Professor Dr. Suranjan Das, our respected Vice Chancellor, our convener, Professor Dr. Shauli Mukherjee, and Ms. Srijata Biswas for giving us the wonderful opportunity of exchanging our views tonight and enlightening us on this wonderful topic. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you for having
Pleasure
me.
meeting
Thank you
you.
so much. সবাই ভালো থাকবেন. Take care, everybody.
Yes.